In 2022, 6.7 billion with a B, prescriptions were filled at a rate of approximately 20 prescriptions for every American. It is estimated that over half of the population reports taking prescription drugs within the last 30 days, and that percentage increases dramatically for older adults and people with chronic conditions. And this doesn't even include over-the-counter medications. Virtually all of the common medications used today were developed after 1950, less than 75 years ago. The United States Food and Drug Administration carefully considers the safety and effectiveness of medications before approval, but almost all medications have side effects and, more rarely, severe adverse events that may be life-threatening. In this video, we will examine how does the FDA approve a drug as safe and effective? What is an FDA box warning? And finally, what medications have FDA box warnings? I'm Professor John R. Hoffman. Stick around to the end of this video where we consider this week's ethical dilemma in science: is the FDA drug approval process a trolley problem? The original trolley problem poses an ethical dilemma of whether it is moral to do nothing and allow 5 people to be killed by a runaway trolley, or to act, throw a switch to divert the trolley onto another track, and in the process killing 1 person rather than 5. In this video, we will consider if the Food and Drug Administration is positioned next to that switch and must determine whether to approve a medication to save lives of many people, but knowing that there is a risk that a very small percentage of people may be harmed by that drug. So how does the FDA approve a drug as safe and effective? Prior to clinical studies, to test the safety and effectiveness of a new drug, the company developing the drug normally conducts years of research developing the chemical compound, followed by additional years of testing the drug on cells or animals. The company then submits an investigational new drug application to the FDA, indicating why they think the new drug will be better than what is currently available. With FDA approval, the drug sponsor will begin 3 phases of clinical trials. In the Phase 1 clinical trials, less than 100 healthy volunteers are given the drug to test its safety in humans. During this phase, the volunteers are monitored to identify side effects, and blood or urine samples may be collected to see how the drug breaks down in the body. In Phase 2 clinical trials, several hundred patients are tested under ideal circumstances to compare whether the new drug is safe and more effective than the standard of care, basically the medication that is currently available to these patients. These research subjects continue to be monitored for possible side effects. At the end of the Phase 2 clinical trials, the drug sponsor and the FDA discuss how the larger Phase 3 clinical trials will be conducted. Not all drugs reach Phase 3 clinical trials, but those that do are given to thousands of patients to continue to study safety and effectiveness of the drug in treating the condition. But now it's being tested in diverse populations, possibly at different dosages or in combination with other drugs. Once the Phase 3 clinical trials are complete, the drug sponsor submits a new drug application for review by the FDA. Included in the information considered are the indications for the drug, basically when the drug should be used, contraindications of the drug, when the drug should not be used, and potential side effects. This important information will ultimately end up in the package inserts that come with your medications. If approved, the drug then becomes available for clinicians to prescribe to patients. However, the safety and effectiveness of the drug continues to be monitored after approval in Phase 4 trials, which are sometimes referred to as post-marketing surveillance trials. The drug company and the FDA continue to monitor reports of side effects and more severe adverse events that may occur in a small percentage of users that was not seen in the earlier trials, which were conducted with several thousand people. The FDA Adverse Event Reporting System is a central data repository of reports of adverse events potentially caused by a medication. The FDA receives over 2 million reports each year. However, this database is only a part of the post-marketing drug safety monitoring system. While available to the general public, the information includes many duplicate and incomplete reports, and they do not show that the adverse event was caused by the reported medication. It is necessary for scientists and epidemiologists to carefully analyze the information in order to determine if there are risks associated with any medication. So what is an FDA box warning? These FDA box warnings, formerly known as black box warnings, are intended to warn a patient and their prescriber about major risks associated with the use of the drug as prescribed. Black box warnings were first implemented by the FDA in 1979. This is the highest safety-related warning, and currently over 400 different medications have a boxed warning. It is estimated that at least 40% of the population under the care of medical professionals in an outpatient setting are taking at least one medication with a boxed warning. So why would a prescriber recommend a use of a drug with these severe warnings? Medications have a desired effect to treat a medical condition, usually through regulating a process in the body, but they can also have undesired side effects. The prescriber will carefully consider the benefits and risks associated with that medication. So what type of medications have FDA box warnings? Thalidomide was a drug developed in Germany in the 1950s and approved in Canada and more than 20 European and African countries as a sedative and a medication for morning sickness in pregnant women. It was pulled from the European market in 1969 because of associated birth defects where infants were born with limb, eye, urinary tract, and heart defects. Thalidomide was never available in the United States because FDA pharmacologist and physician Francis Oldham Kelsey was concerned about the lack of testing showing that the fetus was not harmed. As a result of this incident, the FDA adopted more stringent drug regulations and began systematically monitoring of adverse events. However, the thalidomide story doesn't end there. It is now available in the United States for the treatment of multiple myeloma, a type of blood cell cancer, and erythema nodosum leprosum, a severe complication of leprosy. The box warning and other restrictions limit this medication to only those unable to become pregnant in order to avoid the risk of these birth defects. A more common class of medications with a box warning that are prescribed are the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, used to treat depression, and they include Zoloft, Celexa, Prozac, Paxil, and Lexapro. This box warning indicates an increased risk of suicidal thoughts and behaviors associated with these drugs for people with mental health conditions. There's also a class of over-the-counter medications which you can purchase without a prescription. These are the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, the NSAIDs, such as Motrin, Advil, Aleve, Celebrex, and their generic forms such as ibuprofen. These drugs have an increased risk of heart attack and stroke, an increased risk of gastrointestinal bleeding, ulceration, and holes in the stomach or intestines. Other common medications with boxed labels include combination birth control pills containing drospirenone, which is associated with an increased risk of blood clots. Keep in mind that these risks are very rare, potentially affecting one person out of thousands, or out of tens of thousands, or out of hundreds of thousands of users. Any decision on your medications should involve a discussion with your healthcare provider to determine the best option for the treatment of your specific conditions after careful consideration of benefits and risks. A 2009 study showed that the black box warning about suicide risk caused a decline in the treatment of major depressive disorder and resulted in a significant increase in suicide attempts. In this case, avoiding treatment because of the box warning resulted in the same risks as taking the medication. As we consider the ethical dilemma in science for this week, please leave your comments below on whether or not the FDA approval process is a trolley problem. Keep in mind that the original trolley problem compared 5 lives versus 1. where the FDA is approving medications that will help many, many people with a very small chance of a severe adverse event? Before we can answer that question, here are some additional prompts to get the thought process or discussion going. How much risk is acceptable in life-saving medications? Is it ethical to withhold potentially life-saving drugs due to side effects? Is it ethical to approve a drug that could save thousands but harm a few? And then finally, how do we balance societal benefits against individual risks in drug approval? In the description below is additional information and references. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe for more conversations on the ethical impact of science and technology on society. Until next time, stay curious and be informed.